Welcome back to the Northeast Florida Surf Fishing Forecast for October 23rd through the 25th. As you can see, the ocean is still churning. When I took this video, it was northeast at about 15 to 20 with higher gust, 4 to 5 foot swells coming in, and a strong north to south current. They finished another section on the pier. This whole week, guys, has been quite rough, and even going into this weekend, it's going to be somewhat rough. But there are fish to be caught: pompano, bluefish, trout. Had a few other reports of some drum and redfish. The main time to fish right now, guys, is at the low tide. As you can see, this was about 2 hours before low tide that I took this. So you can actually reach out into the trough. If you go at high tide, it's going to be all whitewash. So just keep that in mind. Pretty much all the Northeast Florida beaches right now have swells coming in, and that's going to continue. But don't let the big surf deter you from fishing, because like I said, low tide will be the time to go. So starting tomorrow, Friday, October 23rd, you got east-northeast winds, 10 to 15, surf 3 to 5 foot. And then Saturday, east-northeast, 5 to 10, 3 to 4 foot surf. And then again on Sunday, northeast, 5 to 10, surf coming down 3 foot. And that trend's going to continue. Right now we got swells coming in from, I believe, Epsilon. So yeah, there could be even bigger swells. I saw one surf report that said we could have some 5 to 7 foot breakers. So obviously if that's the case, it's going to make it quite difficult to fish. The runouts will be quite strong on the beach. But if it doesn't happen, I plan on fishing this weekend on the low tide. We got the tides at the end of this video so you can see them and mark them down and get out there. Like I said, last 2 hours of outgoing and probably the first hour of incoming. Then after that, it really becomes unfishable because you're fishing in whitewash. Now, if you can find a good cut or slough down the beach that holds water as the tide comes in, fish it, because the redfish, drum, bluefish, trout, all of that will sit in there, even whiting. Right now, the bluefish are starting to really show up. They're chasing the mullet, using cut bait, shrimp, fish bites. And if it ever calms down enough, you can throw lures, the gotcha lures, or any kind of spoon. The speckled trout that Eddie caught, he's catching them on a Bruno rig with a Sputnik with a cut mullet. He was gracious enough to send me a little video of where he was fishing today, the conditions, his setup, and how he rigs it up. It's working great. He's catching big blues and big trout, 18 and 19-inch trout. So the cut bait's working, guys. Also, those trout will hit the live finger mullet, and they'll hit shrimp, and they even hit the fish bites. If you haven't gotten fish bites yet, what are you waiting for? Because I've literally seen every single species of fish caught on fish bites in the last 3 or 4 months. I got a report yesterday in Villano, fishing in the river, 27-inch red, hit a fish bite. He had a finger mullet next to that same rig, passed on the finger mullet, hit a sand flea flavored fish bite. So they work. Black drum are also showing up good in the surf. I've been catching those the last week. Before it got too rough, I was getting 2 to 3 a trip. They're hitting. I'm buying live shrimp and putting them on ice so they're fresh. The reason I do that, guys, you'll see a difference. Buy a dozen live shrimp, put them on ice, and buy a pound of dead and compare them. If they're already dead when you buy them, they come off the hook a lot easier. When you buy them live and put them on ice, they're nice and firm. And the fish, especially drum and sheephead, seem to absolutely love them. And that's what I use. When I use the dead shrimp, little whiting and other trash fish seem to pick it up much faster than buying live. Typically, I buy 3 to 4 dozen. And if the whiting are biting, use those shrimp, cut them into small pieces with the shell on. The fresh river shrimp right now are just awesome. The bait stores all have local live shrimp. I call them the brown shrimp. They're right out of the St. Johns River. So all the fish around here are just gorging themselves on them right now, getting ready for the winter. The redfish, they're hitting, like I said, cut bait, mullet, live mullet, dead mullet, fish bites, sand fleas, and shrimp. The redfish are definitely opportunistic. If they come across anything in their path, they'll eat it. But this time of year, when the water does finally start to not calm down, but the water temperature drops lower 70s and the mullet gets scarce, the mullet become the bait to use. The fewer the mullet, the more they hit them, it seems. When there's thousands of mullet along the beach. Yes, the reds are there, but they're full. When there's a few mullet, they're zoned in looking for those mullet. That's what we learned fishing from the pier for so many years. When the mullet run first started, we caught fish. And of course, as the mullet run came to an end and we brought mullet up there, we caught more fish than we did when the mullet was on a full, thousands of schools passing a day. The flounder and reds would just really be zoned in on those mullet when there were none to be found. The whiting and pompano, as you can see, even with the rough weather, the pompano are still here. And I have a feeling once this system calms down that's sending us these swells and all the northeast wind, I saw next week the winds will back off and the surf is going to come down to 2 foot, 3 foot. I think there will be a lot of pompano caught this weekend if the tide will drop some, the surf, and next week should be phenomenal. The water today when I took the video was actually very nice, sort of a dark green color. Yesterday when I was at the beach, it was dark brown. If it's brown, turn around. Just don't go, because stingrays and catfish and sharks are what you're gonna catch mostly. But when it's that dark green color, when I finally get the video up for the winds, how each wind affects the water and what's the best wind to fish in for the surf, northeast wind, east-northeast winds, and green water, that sort of a dark green, always seems to really be the best water where we catch the most fish. Unfortunately, here in northeast Florida, if you're fishing south of the jetties, sometimes the northeast wind will actually push river water down the beach, which in that case is no good. It completely changes the salinity along the beach. You can see it coming, we call it the rip. It'll be green watered and all of a sudden it's a dark tannic color, and usually the fish turn off. And it might take a couple of days for them to acclimate again. So if you can find water that's not river water, fish it. Dark green, remember, dark green's the thing to fish. And like I said, whiting and pompano, the whiting will eat the fresh shrimp, clams, sand fleas, fish bites, and they're not real picky. If they come across a bait, they'll never usually turn down a shrimp or a sand flea. Pompano can be a little bit different, guys. Like I said numerous times, bring several baits, clams, crab knuckles, shrimp, and sand fleas and fish bites, and have several setups with several baits on it and figure out which bait they're eating and switch them all over to that bait. That's what I do. One day it's sand fleas and the next it's clams. If anybody can come up with a book that knows when they're going to hit what, let me know, and we'll get it on YouTube and published. But until then, just keep bringing plenty of baits. And that's really all I got for you guys. The water temperature dropped 1 degree since Tuesday. It's 77. It's still, I think I saw 76 in South Carolina in some areas. So until that water really drops into the low 70s, upper 60s in South Carolina, the Pompano schools in South Carolina in that area really aren't going to push south. So we need a cold front, and once that cold front comes through up there, it doesn't have to get cold here. It just needs to get cold up there and drop the water temperature, and then it migrates the fish south. So yeah, and it will also, the next cold front we get, the mullet will really push out of the river, and it'll be game on. There'll be big reds up and down the beach. Also this weekend, if you live in the northeast Florida area, Jacksonville area, don't forget the flounder pounder. If you have a boat, well, actually it's probably too late to enter it now, but keep an eye on the fish they weigh in. I believe they're all released. It's a great tournament, guys. They raise money for the School of Autism. Chip Davis does a great job with it. Each year he's raising more and more money, and all the proceeds go right back to the School of Autism. You can donate to it if you would like. Check it out online. You don't even have to fish it to donate, guys. Remember that. The school desperately needs the funds, and they really work with the children and get the children in a good place. So it's a good thing. Watch Eddie's video that's next, and keep in touch. Show me your pictures on our Facebook page, and tight lines.
Hey guys, Eddie Berlin here in northeast Florida. As you can see, it's rough and windy. We got a northeast wind, about 15 miles an hour. I'm catching trout and bluefish. This is my rig. I've got a surf spike from Brian Curlett. I've got got a FSA Surf 13, a spin fishing stick, and this is my rig. I got a Bruno rig with top mullet and a sinker guy, 5-ounce sinker.